This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.
Y'all,
This
just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll.
Welcome to DBL. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Let's jump right in today. How many people know someone over 80 who's having a baby?
Now I do.
Personally. Well, it's Al Pacino, in case you guys had a guess. And remind me to tell you my Al Pacino story after this. It's not that great. It's kind of creepy, to be honest. So Al Pacino is going to be a dad again. It's as creepy as this story. Al, who is 83, is expecting a baby with his 29-year-old girlfriend, Noor Al-Fala. The two have been dating since last year, but according to TMZ, the pregnancy came as a total surprise.
To who?
So did the sexual escapade. I don't know. This is a fourth child for Al, who is 22 years old, with twins with Beverly D'Angelo. I didn't know that. The lady from Vacation, in case you didn't know. And a 33-year-old daughter from another relationship. She will remain nameless. Noor is a former executive at Sony and reportedly dated Mick Jagger in the past. So what do we think about Big Al?
This is a big Al Pacino.
There you
I was
go.
waiting on that.
I liked it.
Thank you, everyone, for that sad pity applause.
I liked it.
He will be 101 when he graduates college. Is that correct? Or high school. Look. It's like De Niro was 79 and he said, hold my beer. I can do it better than this. I think it's a little absurd, but I'm not going to be in anyone's bedrooms. I just think it's a little absurd.
Do you think it's selfish, Erica?
You know, I don't know. It's interesting that this news breaks with Elizabeth Holmes going to prison for 11 years, and she has 2 small children. And it's like those conversations have to do with, I mean, gender and age and all of those things. I think at the end of the day, we got to just let people live. Everyone's going to make their own decisions. Right. You know, there are a lot of non-traditional families out there. There are a lot of things that happen along the way with family units. So, I mean, hey, we're just as surprised as everybody else now.
I mean,
I think it's selfish. I'll put it out there. I think it's selfish.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
I did too, Jeff. And the reason I kind of put that in the past, I'm thinking about it. You can't, no one decides how they get here. Sometimes you get here and you're Blue Ivy. Sometimes you get here and you have no parents.
And you're not.
It's just, and you're not. And it's the luck of the draw. No one knows how. And does it seem like this child will probably do a lot of its formative years without a strong father figure in its life because of age and father time doing his business? Yes, but this child also will have a lot of advantages. And advantages that most people will not have. Advantages where they won't worry about how they're going to pay for college. They won't have to worry about doors being open for them. They won't have to worry about having connections or even getting into the schools they choose. So it's everything's a balance. Is it not ideal for your dad to be 83 at a Lamaze class with your mom? That's going to be lost. But at the same time, this kid will have some advantages. So I wish him luck. But it's a little selfish.
Yeah, I'll take the other side. Just because at some point in this kid's life, he's going to be sitting in a room by himself saying, I'll give this all away if I could have just had my dad.
Exactly.
For one day.
Yeah, but a lot of people are in that situation. Much to Al's point, I don't know if you get an opportunity to make those decisions, and a lot of very well-adjusted, successful people have been in those situations where they don't know either one of their biological parents maybe, but that doesn't mean that they don't have strong mother and father figures in their lives.
Right. All right. Well, I'll leave it there. Actress Raven Simone says in the past she used to get all of her dates to sign non-disclosure agreements. Raven, who is now married to her wife Miranda, told Howie Mandel NDAs were just a part of dating in Hollywood. Let's watch.
It's just very impersonal, but someone in our position needs to do that.
When do you ask somebody when you're dating them? You'll go back to this story. Somebody asks you out. Yeah. At what point in the date or the relationship do you say, I have some paperwork for you?
Before the naughty times come. No, I'm serious. Like right before naughty time comes.
She was serious.
I'm for sure serious.
Yeah.
Mine would be when you walk in the door. Maybe when I meet you. Yeah.
No.
I'm not even kidding. I don't even know what it's like to be in that world, dating or whatever. I would be terrified.
You're probably right to be so.
Yeah.
Right. I have a friend that was doing this 15 years ago. He's famous, kind of. He's famous in some movies, but he's not, super famous. And this is just a thing now. I mean, as we see people, you know, I keep going back to that the breakup with Tiger Woods and his girlfriend. This, you know, everybody's like, oh, these celebrities, they don't want to talk to people. They only date each other. They'll never give a regular, everyday Joe a chance. And he tried that with his, and next thing you know, sexual assault is being thrown around so she can open up that NDA. There is with every relationship, there is a power balance. And when you are super famous and super rich, that power balance is right in your face, and it has to be addressed. You always talk about protecting yourself with a prenup for both parties, and it's unpleasant to talk about when you talk about marriage and even hooking up being a contract the two people are making. Both parties need to protect themselves, and even though it's not hot,
I was just gonna
you got to do it.
It's not sexy. Documents aren't sexy, but they are sexy when you are protected.
Yes,
that's sexy. Protection is sexy.
I think it comes down to any form of protection. I mean, of course, you're being proactive, but also, when does a normal, well-adjusted person need to necessarily use it, unless something goes really awry? I've signed NDAs before, and it hasn't even ever come up in an idea that that was the right or wrong thing to do, because it didn't mean anything other than I had no intention of saying anything about what was happening in that person's household or the party or whatever. Now, I didn't sign it before sexy time. Let me just be clear.
Okay.
So tell us the story.
Yeah.
Well, I can't tell you this story. No, it's just something that I can understand why a person in that position would want anyone who is coming into their home to sign an NDA.
And guess what? If they don't feel that that's right, you can leave. It's not like they're putting a gun to your head. They're saying either do this or that, and they say, fine, I'll walk.
Just really quickly, Erica, can you at least tell us how the person brought up the idea of signing the NDA?
Well, we were with a group. It was a party, so it wasn't like an intimate setting, but it was at someone's home, and there was a guard stand, like as soon as you walked onto the premises.
Like at my house.
Yeah. Before you walked to the house, everyone had to stop and sign the NDA at the guard stand. They also took a picture of your ID.
Oh.
You know what I would do if me and my wife, tragically something happened? I'd open a restaurant, a bar, late night, called NDAs, and the menu's an NDA. So it's like, oh yeah, what's your name? We're all good here. Because you seem a little nutty.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
In Hollywood too, so everybody can go in there. But if
NDAs. There was a place called Residuals. You ever go there?
Still there, yeah.
And if you bring your residual check that's under $1, they give you a free drink and you put it on the wall.
Mine are all under $1.
Yeah, they mostly are. So you get a free drink going.
Wow,
with
36 cents for carbon.
I'm going to open it right next to Residuals.
I like it.
All right, so let's move on. Speaking of LA, I wasn't, but that's where I was thinking it would be. Some movie theaters are trying to lure people back in. Megaplex Theaters in Utah posted this movie trailer on Instagram to entice people to get off the couch and go back to the big screens. Others are offering up pillows, heated seats, and in the case of AMC theaters, their signature recliners. You took blankets out of there, huh?
Yeah.
Blankets was in there, and I was gonna make fun of it because they give you blankets. All right, some theaters include private viewing pods, and gourmet food and drinks delivered right to your seat.
I do that.
What?
I do that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like Alamo Drafthouse, if it's a big Tom Cruise movie, I'll go get a beer, some chips, and watch with my hubby.
But do you need to be that comfortable? What are you, a construction worker? You working on a jackhammer all day? Why do you need to have a lazy boy that's heated with somebody rubbing your shoulders?
You have at home.
Yeah, it's an incentive.
That's been the number one thing that most consumers are saying. The reason why they aren't going back to theaters is because they got very comfortable. A lot of people, think about in the 2 years of the lockdown, people created full spaces. Like they have their own mini theaters at home. They have everything they could possibly want. So they're trying to entice people back to be like, you can have everything you want here, only we'll serve you. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense for the demographics who aren't going back.
How many
to
people
the
are watching movies at their home and getting a blanket and pillow out of the trash and using it for 2 hours? It's disgusting. I would never, and
don't forget, like
that is gross.
The movies and television have dealt with this before. Before TV was invented, there was only movies. That was the big thing to do, was go to the movies. And then television came, and the movies had to figure out how to compete with television because people were at home, and the movies did start offering different packages to get people out. So they need to go back to the yesteryear and go to the drawing board.
They did.
But they're just bringing out the stuff that's at people's houses.
Dude, it's an
You
incentive.
have to give them something else
Popcorn's
that
an
they
incentive.
can't.
Blankets an incentive. Heated
Because
seats
you're
is an
being
incentive.
served
Right.
it. You don't have to clean anything up. Now it's like, hey, go back and leave the house. We back outside, but we can also give you all the amenities of home.
I think you got to think a little. You got to think outside the box.
So what
it's
would
all
you
the things.
Like a
propose
manicure?
that, like,
I
they
don't know.
actually
My
bring
name
the
isn't-
actors
My
from
name
the
isn't
movie?
John AMC. I don't know. That's their business. But they need to figure out how to incentivize
I
people to
think they're
come out of their
trying
house.
this approach,
Yes.
and you're
Come
saying
have your house out here.
Yeah.
a lot of people are going to go for that approach. You just don't like it because you don't like joy.
Okay, that's fine.
That's fine.
I'll accept that.
How about lowering the prices? The prices are too high.
I think, Jeff,
It's
I think
crazy.
you're thinking right inside the box.
Yeah.
Lower the prices.
I don't need a dirty blanket. Just give me a discount. Coming up on DBL, our interview with actor B.D. Wong. He's telling us about the animated prequel to Gremlins. And Elizabeth Holmes begins her 11-year prison sentence. Now the actress who played her is reacting to it all. Find out what Amanda Seyfried has to say next.
DBL, this show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point. But I'm going to have a conversation about what's happening now.
All right.
Maybe.
It wouldn't really matter.
That was my point to make.
Hey, what's your favorite Pacino movie?
Yeah.
Sorry. We can
No,
continue.
I think that's
talking.
a fair question.
Hey, wait, Scent of a Woman is great.
Oh,
Hey.
we didn't see the young Al Pacino.
Oh, we didn't do the
Probably
young Al
not.
Pacino thing.
I thought it was.
Oh, man.
I was like, that's
Well,
my
tell everybody what we did.
Okay, there's a famous thing online. Young Al Pacino
No,
or
it's
young...
famous.
It is. It's went very viral. Even we all...
not famous.
No, it is famous. It's viral.
LeBron James is famous.
Oh my God, let me talk. So there's this viral poll that went viral. Young,
Anthony.
I know, young De Niro or young Pacino, who's hotter? And it went really viral. And guess what the answer was in terms of the poll? 50-50. It is tied, and the world has chimed in. And it's like, are they the same amount of hot? Have we found the perfect hotness equal? First of all, this would be not okay if it were women. So let's call out the double standard. Because I couldn't be like, who's hotter, Jennifer Aniston or Emily Ratajkowski? Because that's super objective.
But people would still chime in on that poll.
And they would also call it out as a really misogynistic poll.
But if they called it out and they still responded to it, does it matter?
Yeah. Okay. There's backlash and a bad taste in your mouth about whatever brand tweeted that out.
Most
I just
people
think there's a
post-
double standard here, being like, he's hotter, he's hotter. You might not do that with women. The
I
same
think
way.
it-
Fun though, like if it's like a young Dame Helen Mirren or a young.
Judi Dench.
Right.
Right.
Who's
It's
hotter?
Helen Mirren.
That's fun.
Yeah,
to
that's
talk
true.
about because they're not when they're 80.
That's true. So what do you guys think, De
That's how
Niro?
people talk. But you can't talk like that on television
Right.
because you get attacked.
Exactly.
So you're taking out all the
real
joy and fun and realness of what real conversations around the country are having. But you're not allowed. Welcome back. Amanda Seyfried, who played disgraced Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes in The Dropout, is sounding off on her prison sentence. So Elizabeth reported to a Texas prison yesterday where she will serve her 11 years for investor fraud and conspiracy. She leaves behind her son, who is almost 2, as well as a 3-month-old daughter. Amanda, who won an Emmy for her role as Elizabeth, reacted to her sentence on GMA. Take a look.
I feel for those kids.
Yeah.
There's 2 kids that are hanging in the balance here. As a parent, I'm just like, as a mom, I don't know. It's life's not fair, but in a lot of ways, it's fair.
Yeah.
For her in particular.
So if you didn't know this, Elizabeth is also in the same prison as Real Housewife of Salt Lake City star Jen Shaw, who is serving 6.5 years for fraud, or might have some time to get chummy.
Yeah.
Well, there was a story that was floating during Jen Shaw's sentencing that she was trying to get housed in the same prison that Elizabeth was going to go to as well. I don't know how much credibility there is to the story, but the story was out there. Now it's here, so that's interesting.
Now it's here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of women who are in prison who are mothers, and not all of them are fairly incarcerated either. This is a situation where the justice seems to be there, and I know that a lot of people had conversations about, and I said this earlier, about the idea of her having 2 children during the sentencing phase, or knowing that she's going to go to prison.
Seems purposeful.
Yeah.
Right.
A little strategic.
But I also have to call out the other side of this. She is a woman of a certain age. Maybe it's not fair, but do you take away the opportunity for her to become a mother because she has to spend time in prison?
Which is fair, because like, when is she gonna, you know, conjugal visit it? Which I hadn't seen. So I appreciate you widening that perspective. What I don't love is the media take on Elizabeth Holmes. She has been notarized in the movies that we've seen, but also New York Times just did a cover page of her with her husband and her kids at the ocean, talking about her and her life. They went in and spent a weekend with them. Like, what other person who frauded $140 million is getting a Vanity Fair type cover page? What she did was wrong. She is a criminal, and she shouldn't be dressed to look so innocent, in my mind. I think she had a really good publicist, is what I think she had.
Let's see.
All right, we'll be right back.
There is nothing I like better than finding a great deal on travel. And it turns out I'm not alone. Verify viewer Catherine emailed us to ask, is there a certain day of the week that's cheapest to buy a plane ticket? So Catherine, let's verify. Our sources are Scott's Cheap Flights, a study by cheapair.com, and Brett Snyder, president of Cranky Concierge Travel Assistance and a former airline pricing analyst. Some studies suggest Tuesday or Saturdays are the cheapest days to buy tickets, but all of our sources say they usually rely on flawed or outdated data. For example, some articles suggest that weekends are the cheapest days to buy. Snyder points out that's based on data that tracks the average amount spent on a ticket each day of the week. Families tend to buy their tickets on weekends and usually purchase less expensive tickets. Meanwhile, business travelers tend to buy their tickets during the week, and many are less price sensitive.
A lot of the business travel, premium cabin or even last minute or whatever it might be, those tend to be higher fares.
The end result is a study that has skewed data. Similar articles suggest Tuesdays offer the best deals, but our sources say that's also not the case. Scott's Cheap Flights explains on its site that this idea is a holdover from the 1990s, when airlines used to upload special e-fares on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. These days, Snyder says airlines use sophisticated algorithms to consistently adjust fares based on demand, regardless of what day of the week it is.
This hasn't existed for years. I couldn't tell you the last time when those actually were out there in the market.
So we can verify, no, there is not a certain day of the week that's cheapest to buy a plane ticket. So when should you book? Cheapair.com found domestic tickets are generally cheapest 3 to 15 weeks before departure. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
How dangerous can he be?
Nobody else has concerns.
Welcome back to DBL. In 1984, the hit movie Gremlins made us all fall in love with the mythical Mogwai, Gizmo. Now we are seeing the origin of the little guy in an animated prequel. Earlier, we spoke to B.D. Wong about his new show. Take a look. Please welcome the one and only B.D. Wong.
About it because I live in New York, but you guys are great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. We're honored to have you.
Yes.
We really are. I actually just watched Gremlins for the first time 2 nights ago, so I was wanting to get caught up, and I'm really into this. I recently also learned that Mogwai are an actual part of the Chinese culture. Why was this an important part of the representation and that you wanted to really broadcast?
Well, originally, you know, this great actor, Key Luke, played this role of Sam Wing, this kind of exotic, old-school Hollywood Chinese character who kind of introduces the Mogwai to the other white characters in the story, and then they take it from there kind of thing. And so this origin story, kind of bringing it back to China, and the well-researched folklore, and giving Sam a family, is all really kind of like the 2023 version of the story. You know, it really kind of brings it around, and that representation is really important to the other actors in the show and me. And so I just think it's great. That was like probably the main reason I wanted to do it.
That's amazing. That's unbelievable.
We got to talk about Dr. Henry Wu from Jurassic Park. Did you ever expect Dr. Wu to continue after the first movie? And I got to say, I saw the latest one at the theater, and when your face popped up, it's just like seeing the movie that I watched when I was a kid and then bringing my kids to watch this. It was so nostalgic.
Yeah, you know, it's a little bit like the Gremlins thing, where we have this generational thing. We're passing on the thing that we loved as kids to our kids. And yeah, you do hear this audible reaction when he comes on the screen. I think people are really into the character and the things that he represents. I didn't know or think that it would ever come around to me. I had a really good friend, Nathan, who is a Jurassic Park kind of franchise super fan. And he says, "Oh, you're going to totally come back." And I said, "You're crazy." And it actually happened. And I always give Nathan credit for being able to predict that.
Manifest.
What a great career. I love
I know.
Yeah, what a great career.
Okay, let's talk about how I became obsessed with you, okay? You played a Special Agent George Wong on Law & Order SVU for 11 years. So has anyone ever told you that your character on the show helped guide them in real life?
Yes, well, not really guide them. A lot of younger people didn't know about forensic psychiatry, and the general public didn't know about forensic psychiatry in the early 2000s when the show came on and introduced this character. And so a lot of young people have gone into the field because of understanding this really interesting and different nuance of a medical career. You know, you get a medical degree, and then what do you do with it? You could become a forensic psychiatrist, and people found that really interesting. I think my picture's in a psychiatry textbook. And so it opened up a kind of a door for people to see a medical career differently, I think, which I think is really nice. I mean, it's you know,
So cool. Okay, so you've been acting for over 40 years. Have you ever had a role that you related to more than any other?
I really relate. You know, you get older and you complain about getting older, but then at the same time, these kind of things happen. Like I'm playing parents now. I'm playing a parents in Gremlins, Secrets of the Mogwai, and that experience that you bring to a project of being a parent really helps you and moves you and makes you understand all the things that you have to do, more than anything else that I have prepared for in any other role. My role as Awkwafina's dad on Nora from Queens, and my role in this, and other parent roles that I'm starting to get now are really personal to me.
Speedy, this has been so much fun. We just love hearing from you. And DBL Nation, make sure to check out new episodes of Gremlins, Secrets of the Mogwai on Max right now. Thanks again. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Guys.
Bye,
awesome.
Dee.
Does sunscreen contain cancer-causing ingredients? We turn to the sources listed here to verify. In one high-profile instance, yes, by accident. In 2021, several Johnson & Johnson sunscreen products were recalled after they were found to contain traces of the carcinogen benzene, which the manufacturer says is not a sunscreen ingredient. On store shelves, you'll see two main types of sunscreen, chemical and physical. American Academy of Dermatology Association defines a chemical sunscreen as one that absorbs the sun's rays using chemicals like oxybenzone, and a physical sunscreen is one that deflects the sun rays with minerals like titanium dioxide or zinc oxide. Much of the concern of sunscreen safety comes from research published in the last few years, finding the body can absorb ingredients in chemical sunscreen. Something applied topically can be found in the bloodstream days, even weeks later. Most chemical sunscreens include at least one of These common ingredients, according to the American Society of Clinical Oncology, that haven't been studied closely enough to be fully determined safe. The Environmental Working Group specifically recommends against using sunscreens containing oxybenzone, a potential hormone disruptor. However, Dr. Allison Larson explains the evidence supporting sunscreen's role in preventing cancer outweighs the known risk from absorbing chemicals.
If that's a concern, use a physical sunscreen. They simply stay as a layer outside the skin. And these are the sunscreens that used to be the very pasty white. It's totally different these days.
Our source is a watercolor study from Alive Solutions and Allie Gaines with Charlotte Aquatics. According to Alive Solutions, bright and contrasting colors are easier to see underwater. This is important because if your kid goes underwater for a long period of time, you'll want to easily spot them. The Alive Solutions color test shows some examples. In this series of photos, fabric colors such as bright reds, pinks, blues, and greens show up better when compared to fabrics such as light blue, light gray, black, and white. As you can see, the colors white and light blue basically disappear when underwater. Gaines says drownings are so prevalent in children under the age of 4. She confirms kids should be wearing brightly colored swimsuits.
Neon colors are much better. They're easier to spot in the water.
Gaines says while picking out the perfect swimsuit color is important for parents, it's only a secondary measure for preventing accidents in pools.
If you're not actually watching the water, if you're not actually watching your kids, it's really not going to do very good.
Gaines also suggests putting your kids in swim lessons at an early age to help get them used to being around the water.
So swim lessons are always going to be your number one way to keep your kids safe around the water, best way to prevent drowning. Formal swim lessons actually reduce the risk of drowning by 88%.
So we can verify that yes, brighter colored swimsuits are easier to spot if your kid goes underwater. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
If you only knew what we were talking about. Welcome back. Maintaining your car's resale value is essential for getting the most return on your investment. We've got tips to help you keep your car's value. That's today's Auto Alert, sponsored by Ox Car Care. First, keep your mileage as low as you can before selling. A car's life expectancy is 200 to 300,000 miles, and buyers will always go for the low mileage option, of course. Next, clean your headlights. They're prone to scuffs and scratches, making them appear hazy, especially at night. You can avoid this with specific light cleaning products. And lastly, clean the interior and exterior of your car on the reg. Avoid smoking and eating in your car. You can always wax the exterior to keep a nice shine. Ox Car Care is dedicated to providing you with an amazing auto protection plan experience that works with your budget. If you're looking for better car care, give them a call today at 800-687-1821. Tori, what are you doing over there?
I'm sorry,
I don't know. It's like there's a lot of rustling. Dude, papers moving around.
I have a tiny Kleenex, and I am literally cleaning my area.
Yeah, it sounded like you were waxing your car down there.
Waxing my car. I was trying to be
Could you vouch
helpful.
for me? What was happening?
It was just noise. It's cleaning. It's sprays.
Wow.
What's happening?
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
My seat, just trying to maintain.